Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Before I start the discussion, please do let me know that I'm audible and visible for everyone. Please do let me know. Am I audible and visible for everyone? Okay, done. Thanks a lot. Let's start the discussion then. So, welcome to another session of the Hindu News Analysis dated 17th April 2025. And in today's session, I've taken a total of 11 articles. 9 of them are from the Hindu newspaper, Delhi edition, and 2 of them are from Indian Express. This has been done in order to ensure that the discussion is comprehensive and all the areas that you need to answer and ace the civil services examination are taken into account. If you like this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Now, before I start the discussion, if you're someone who is aiming to clear the upcoming civil service examination in 26 or 27, our courses are available at a discounted price. And if you use the IAS English code, your course will get extended by up to 12 months free of cost. Those who are interested, please do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. Now, let me start with the first article. Essentially, what I've done here is I'll be clubbing multiple articles and discussing. One, there is a big, very full page article regarding how China is fighting the tariffs of USA. And there is one more article in the center page, that is in the editorial page. What should be India's response to USA's reciprocal tariff? And there is one more article in the business page. India's trade deficit with China reaching more than $99 billion. So I'll be clubbing all of these articles and having a comprehensive discussion so that you'll be aware of all the things that are happening. Now, point number one, the president of USA, the current president of USA, Mr. Donald Trump, after he came to power, after he sworn in as a president of USA, announced that the balance of trade, which is in favor of other countries, and USA is a major importer, this issue of a trade would be addressed. And to address this particular trade issue, he announced reciprocal tariffs on the trading partners. A huge amount of tariffs were announced with the base of 10%. Multiple countries were targeted with additional reciprocal tariffs. And even before they came into force, they were supposed to come into force from the 9th of April. The president again announced a pause on the policy, stated that multiple countries have come to USA. They have approached USA and they want to negotiate a trade deal. In fact, out of all of these countries which have approached USA for a trade deal, India is one of them. But to be very fair here, transparency, USA had negotiated or had started negotiating trade deal for multiple years with India. And even with the current administration, the government of India, even before the reciprocal tariffs were announced, had reached out to have a bilateral trade agreement. Now, what is the issue here? The issue is, although the reciprocal tariffs were announced as a tactic, basically bring the trading partners and have a trade negotiation with them and address this particular issue of a trade imbalance, where he says USA is importing at a very less taxes or imposing very less taxes on the imports. And when USA exports these particular goods or services to other countries, its trading partners, they impose a very high amount of taxes. In fact, multiple times he targeted India. Even during the first let's say round or the first tenure as a president, he kept on calling India as a tariff king. So the issue here is the reciprocal tariffs were announced, and it was expected that the trading partners will come to negotiations table. They will be able to negotiate and have a very good outcome in the context of USA's exports attracting very less tariffs when they enter into trading partners. And this, he says, will help making America great again by producing more and more goods and services in USA, by attracting higher amount of investments in USA, by generating more jobs in USA. He is trying to basically satisfy the agenda in the second term of the presidency, that is making America great again. But what are the issues here? The two very important points that are discussed in this article. The first one, is it possible for the Trump administration to negotiate a trade deal with the countries? Is it possible? I'll have a discussion regarding this. And the second question is, why is that China, why is that China compared to other countries has taken a very stiff stand, very tough stand against the administration of USA, where upon announcement by USA, China retaliated. USA retaliated against the retaliation done by China. Now China again retaliated against the retaliation done by USA, which was a retaliation done by China. So essentially, right, argument here is why? What are the reasons behind, right, this particular stance or the tough stance which has been taken by China against the pressure tactics used by the USA administration? Let me address these two issues here. First one, is it possible to have a trade deal? Before I start discussing this, one of the reasons many experts say why the government of USA put these reciprocal tariffs implementation on halt for 90 days is said to be, right, the change in the yield rate, change in the yield rates of government of USA's bonds or treasuries as they are called in USA. I know a lot of you will have confusion regarding what is a bond, what is a yield rate, what is a coupon rate, how they are different, how the market prices of the bonds will keep on fluctuating, etc. For this, there is a video that I've already recorded. It is there. Please have a look at it. Again, it hardly will take you 7 minutes in your precious time of UPSC preparation. Take out 7 minutes. Have a look at this particular video. There is a discussion regarding a concept of a bond, yield rate, and the coupon rate. Now, argument is very simple. Is it possible to have a trade deal? The article simply says it might not be possible to have a very satisfactory trade deal with the current administration. Reason being, one, generally in case of USA's government, there is an representative, right, appointed by the government of USA. The representative is known by the name of US Trade Representative, USTR, US Trade Representative. The US trade representative essentially will negotiate with other countries' representatives and prepare a proposal, submit it to the administration, that is the president, and the president generally approves or raises certain concerns. Again, the negotiations are conducted, etc. But now, in the current administration, it is the president of USA who says, I will be the chief negotiator. I hope you understand. The president of USA is saying, and the USTR is also saying, president is the chief negotiator. He will be involved in multiple negotiations. He will be presiding over these negotiations. He will be present in these negotiations, etc. And generally, please understand, when the head of the state, when the head of a government like this sits for negotiations, many of the times, if the person who is negotiating is not level headed in the sense balanced approach, is not taken by this person, he is of the viewpoint that either my way or the highway, etc., these kind of negotiations are derailed. These negotiations do not go forward, right? At one point of time, these negotiations will basically break down. So the article simply says, because the chief negotiator is the president of USA, and we know how he negotiates with the countries, the negotiations might not happen or might not be completed satisfactorily in this kind of, right, let's say, trade deal that they want. And second issue that has been raised in the article is, what are the areas they want to negotiate? Right? Which are the areas they want to negotiate? Initially, the argument was the trade agreement. That is, USA's exports are taxed very high, whereas imports, we are not taxing very high. So there is a huge amount of a trade deficit. I want to address it. But very recently, the USTR has prepared a report regarding the kind of barriers that USA's exports or USA's companies face in other countries. Let me give you a couple of examples here. In the context of India itself, the report which has been prepared by the USTR has raised multiple issues, and a lot of them are very complicated, very technical, and India will not accept to these kind of negotiations. For example, agriculture sector. India historically, to protect the agriculture sector or the farmers, doesn't include agriculture sector in the trade agreement. It doesn't prefer that. Why? The number of farmers in India are very high. Lot of these households are poor, etc. It doesn't prefer to include agriculture sector, and that is one of the reason why we moved out of at the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So USA might want this particular market to be opened up for USA's exports. There is a area that is a data localization. Government of India, in order to protect the privacy, that is essentially sensitive information related to you, me, who are the consumers, who are the customers for many of the service providers, is imposing a data localization measure. That is, whatever data is collected by these companies, they will have to store it in India. USA companies are opposed to that. The government of USA has raised concern regarding this. At agriculture subsidies, government of India provides lot of agriculture subsidies. USA's government is opposed to that. So I hope you understand the argument here. Many of these particular issues that have been raised by the other side may not be acceptable to India. In that particular case, will we have a bilateral trade agreement which is very comprehensive, which is going to address all the concerns of USA? The writer or this particular article simply says it may not be possible in this particular situation. So, is it possible to have a trade deal? Most probably, it is not going to happen. Second, what is this argument of China? Why? Why China is taking very tough stand against USA? All of you, please listen to me carefully now. Right now, if you're observing the cycle of news that is happening, essentially you're observing that the Chinese president is on multi-days trip to multiple countries. One after the other, he is visiting multiple countries where he is talking about negotiations, where he is talking about reconciliation, where he is talking about market trade, etc. The reason is very simple here. China, when the first term of the President Trump, when it was the first term, out of the total exports are done from China, out of the total exports are done from China, around 19%, around the around the number 19% of total exports from China used to go to USA, which means approximately a fifth. I repeat, approximately a fifth of total exports used to go to USA. And over a period of time, what China has done is essentially diversified the exports. It has diversified the exports. That is, instead of exporting only to this particular country more and more, it has started exporting to other countries. As a result of this, the latest data shows hardly around 13% of total exports from China have gone to USA, which essentially means the Chinese dependence on the USA as a market has come down. They have been able to tap other markets, export more and more into other markets. That is the first reason. And the second reason, the Chinese government now, as a retaliation, because I hope you know, initially the announcement of tariff was 10%, then 54%, then 105%, then 145%, now 245%. Yesterday, the president has announced, that is, the USA president has announced 245% tariffs on Chinese exports which are landing into USA market. If you look at the numbers, these numbers are increasing at a much faster pace compared to the scorecard of the IPL teams. So, argument is China is essentially looking at all of this and they are also retaliating with tariffs. But in addition to that, they have also used the trade investments as a tool here. For example, many of the airliners in China had put orders into Boeing company. Boeing is a airline manufacturer present in USA. Now, Chinese government is asking these companies not to accept deliveries from the USA company. It is essentially saying we are going to ban the export of critical minerals, which are needed from right from one point to another point. All the technologies which is critical by the nature, and that's the reason critical minerals is named. So, critical minerals exports will be cut off. And by the way, those who are wondering why China is so much right, let's say imposing the restriction here, what is the importance of that? 92% of the processing, export, or let's say supply of critical minerals in the international market comes from China. 92%. That's the importance. So argument is very simple here. They are using not only reciprocal tariff, they're also using trade as a tool to basically hammer, basically have an impact on the USA's market. At this particular point of time, just on a lighter note, at this point of time, I'm just happy that the president of USA has not retaliated and said to China, if you're not going to export critical minerals, then I'm going to go to Wakanda and source vibranium from there. Just on a lighter note, a joke for the Marvel fans who are watching the lecture now. The argument is very simple. China is using trade. In addition to this, there is one more tool China can use. That is essentially the bonds. Essentially, the bonds. Right? Chinese government has invested heavily and purchased the bonds of the USA government. And if you're wondering, sir, how much? As per the latest data, the Chinese government is holding more than $761 billion. Mind you, more than 700, just a second. Okay. So more than $761 billion worth of USA bonds, USA treasuries are being held by China. And if China wants to destabilize the USA's economy, all they can do is essentially start dumping these particular bonds in the USA's market. Automatically, the financial market will be destabilized. And historically, if you see, it had held more than $1.2 trillion worth of USA treasuries. Now it has actually reduced the holdings of the USA bonds to the level of $761 billion. And that is a precise reason the article simply says China is so defiant. China is essentially saying, bring on. Right? You want to have a trade war? We are ready for it. You want to have any kind of war? We are ready for it. Why? Because of this kind of, let's say, the cards that the Chinese government is able to hold. And in addition to this, now China is basically having maneuvering to these particular Asian countries, including India, by the way. And they want to have deals with these particular countries. They want to open up the market. They want to have people to people exchanges with these particular countries now. So these are certain very important points which are mentioned in the article here. Everybody is okay, right? And some of you are asking, sir, what is the page name? My dear, if you open the Hindu newspaper, the central page, don't you know what is the central page? When I say that, after central page, there is a text and context. It is essentially this particular article. Text and context is this particular article. Okay. Now, what is the information given in this particular central page article? That is the editorial page, shaping a response to USA's reciprocal tariffs. This article has been written by Mr. C. Rangarajan and D.K. Srivastava. And if you do not know who is Mr. C. Rangarajan, a very well-known economist in India, by the way, former RBI governor. Now, what are the important points given in the article? They have given how USA has calculated reciprocal tariffs in the first column. I would simply say ignore it. Ignore it. Not needed for civil services. What is the formula, etc.? Simply ignore it. But more importantly, they have done the analysis. This is the impact of reciprocal tariffs announced by USA on India as a trade. They have done the analysis. Let's focus on that. Point number one, essentially the writers say that India's total exports as a percentage of GDP is around 13%. It is around 13%. And out of the total exports done from India, a large chunk of it goes to USA. But what is the percentage of these value of exports which go to USA as a percentage of GDP? It is in the range of 2% to 2.5%, 2.4%. In the range of 2% to 2.4 percentage of GDP, which essentially means what? If your GDP is 100 crore rupees, out of that, around 2 crore rupees worth of goods and services you are exporting to USA. That is the meaning. Now, out of all the exports which are done, which are the exports which will be affected by the reciprocal tariffs? The authors or the writers basically say the exports from the gems and jewelry will be affected. The exports such as capital machinery would be affected, and the exports such as textiles would be affected because of the reciprocal tariff. But at the same point of time, they also mention that our competitors, many of the Asian countries who are our competitors, who are also exporting to USA, they have been imposed with higher tariffs. They have been imposed with much higher tariff compared to us. So that is an opportunity for us because our products will become more competitive when their tariffs are much higher. That is point number one. Point number two, they also argue that India's exports in these particular segments, first and foremost, out of total exports, how much we are exporting to USA? That's a small chunk. And out of this, if you take these kind of exports, their argument is impact will not be very, very high. Right? They are using the term impact will be minimal. But before I go forward, I have a small disagreement with the points which are given in the article. Again, my view, my opinion. If you look at these particular sectors, these are very, very important, by the way. No doubt, impact could be minimal. But if you look at these particular sectors or the industries, what will you observe? One, can I simply say these are very much labor intensive? Do let me know in the chat section. These are right, very much labor intensive. And in recent times, already these industries are under pressure. And if you're wondering, sir, what is the importance of capital machinery? Out of the total GDP of India, around 12% of the contribution actually comes from capital goods in India. Around 12%. And it has generated jobs or accounts for jobs around 55 lakh. So labor intensive. Already the diamond sector is suffering because of the sanctions imposed on Russia, because we are not able to export to countries where the inflation rates are higher, where essentially the demand is coming down, etc. So that is my viewpoint. Yes, it will have an impact, but please understand these are very important sectors or industries in terms of investment for us, in terms of growth, in terms of exports, in terms of jobs. Right? That is the reason we have to be very, very careful with the announcement of reciprocal tariffs by USA. So, what is the solution then? Finally, coming to the end of the discussion regarding the first two articles, what is the solution? What is the way forward? The way forward, point number one, the writers simply say we have to negotiate a trade deal. Negotiate a trade deal. And India has already said they will negotiate a deal with USA. What will happen after the trade deal? How much will be covered? What relaxations will be given to India? You will have to wait and see. Second point, diversify. Just like China is doing now, just like China is doing, diversify your exports, right? Because the trade deal will help you. But if you want to have a stability over a longer period of time, rather than relying on few of the countries, try to diversify your exports, try to diversify your export destinations as well. The second way forward is diversify. And the third one, as a temporary measure, just to escape from more tariffs being announced by the president of USA, what you can do is try to import more and more crude from USA. Try to import more and more crude oil from USA, because USA is also very much intent on producing and exporting crude oil. Right? In fact, you must have heard of the term drill baby drill, which has been used by the president of USA very often. So they want to produce crude oil. They want to export crude oil. We need crude oil. So why not import it from USA rather than importing everything from other countries? That will give certain leeway. That will pacify Mr. Trump and he will not start targeting India. So these are some of the recommendations or the way forward that you can provide in the context of, let's say, the tariff war or the trade war that is actually happening. Everybody is okay? And I know some of you might be thinking, sir, you are discussing so much about Mr. Donald Trump. What if you go to USA and they will look at all of these videos and they will export or they will basically deport you? Not export, but deport you. Here, first and foremost, I have no intentions to go to USA. And by the way, I do not have so much amount of money like Chetan sir to go to USA. Please don't tell him about this. Okay. Now, that was on a lighter note, but okay. Mains answer writing practice. Discuss the challenges and measures that India needs to undertake in the face of rising protectionism and trade disruptions in the global market. A 15 marker question, 250 words. Attempt it. Now, let me go to the third article. Call for permanent settlement for tribals. Permanent settlement for tribals. Okay. Now, what are the important points? There is a term mentioned here, strategic hamlets. Right? Understand this. Strategic hamlet program. Now, what is a strategic hamlet program? In fact, this has been used by USA in Vietnam War. Vietnam War. What is the concept of a strategic hamlet program? Now, let's take an example in the context of India, then we can understand by expanding it to Vietnam. So, I hope you understand this. Whenever, let's say, there is insurgency, right? For example, Maoism. Don't you think Maoists, when they're fighting, they're waging war against the state, they will require assistance in the form of food, the form of shelter, in the form of security or protection from the local communities. Correct? Right? That's a very simple idea. Right? You're a Maoist. You are waging war against, let's say, the state. You require food, right? You require food grains. We'll provide it to you. The communities which are residing in that particular region, you require a lot of time protection. Who will give it to you? The communities. Whether they are giving it on their will or you're threatening, that's a different issue. In essence, what I'm saying is there is a linkage between these kinds of insurgents along with the local communities. And this, right, the bond, as strong as it is, or more stronger it becomes, the state will find it very difficult to fight insurgency. The same argument you apply to Vietnam. In case of Vietnam, also, the USA had started a fight against insurgency. They implemented a program called as Strategic Hamlet Program. Essentially, in the Strategic Hamlet Program, the local community from which the insurgents are expecting support basically cut the cord, cut the, right, let's say, connection here. By doing what? Whoever is the resident in this local community, take them, move them into a secured location, right? Have particular camp like this and provide security to all of these particular people. Ensure they will get access to food, ensure they will get access to education, healthcare, employment opportunities, etc. Thereby cutting this particular connection between the insurgent as well as the local community, you are basically starving the insurgents from the support that they were getting from the local community. And it will help you in easily fighting and basically finishing off the insurgent activity. That is essentially the concept of strategic Hamlet program, which was used by USA in the war, in the fight in Vietnam. Now, the writer simply says similar to this has been used by governments in India. The state government and the central government, they have been using the similar model, where in many of the cases, let's say in moist regions, they are picking up the people and they are moving away, they are shifted away into certain camps, thereby ensuring that the insurgents will not get the community support like this or local support like this. But whenever there is a friction between the state as well as, right, let's say the insurgency like this, people will also get migrated because the fight is happening between the two forces here, that is the government as well as the insurgents. The people who are residing in the region will become collateral damage. And as a result of this, they will essentially move away and basically be displaced. There's a term, internally displaced people. Internally displaced people. And this article talks about internally displaced people, especially the tribal population. The tribal population. What is the issue here? Issue is very simple. In Chhattisgarh, the fight against Maoist, right? The state is conducting a fight against Maoism. As a result of this, a lot of this tribal population have been forced to migrate away from their, let's say, the tribal residing regions into other states. And these particular tribal population has migrated into states such as Telangana, states such as Andhra Pradesh. And according to the Forest Rights Act, FRA, according to the Forest Rights Act 2006, under that, especially clause 3.1, clause 3.1, subsection or subclause M, if a person is forcefully displaced like this, if a person is forcefully displaced like this before certain time period, before certain due date, in such cases, whenever they migrate into a particular region, they will have to be given assistance. They can claim right over certain piece of land which should be approved by the state. That particular right is given to these, right, let's say internally displaced people, right, under the Forest Rights Act. Now, the writer simply says, under this particular law, many of the tribal people who have migrated, who have been forced to flee away because of the fight between the state and the insurgency, they are residing in Telangana now, they are residing in Andhra Pradesh. They are also residing in Chhattisgarh. They have filed applications. They have given applications to the state government to allocate them land. But the writer simply says the state of Chhattisgarh is not accepting, is not talking about these applications, though it has been more than 5 years. The state of Andhra Pradesh is not giving any kind of a support. The state of Telangana is also not providing any kind of a support. So at the end, basically, the argument of the writer is it is a time that Ministry of Home Affairs, MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs intervenes and provides a permanent settlement for these particular tribal people. Despite this being ordered by the NCST, National Tribunal on the scheduled tribes, there is a order from this particular tribunal, but the states are not abiding by the order of the tribunal. Some of the states are arguing that these are not the tribal people in our state. These are simply the migrants. I cannot recognize them. I cannot give any kind of a land. And even if the state wants to provide, there'll be tribal population in this second state as well. They will retaliate against these tribal people who have migrated from another state now. So multiple issues have been flagged here. And essentially, it is the duty of the Ministry of Home Affairs to intervene, interfere, and provide a permanent location, permanent settlement. And if you're wondering, sir, why MHA should intervene here? It is important to note that many of these, right, let's say the tribal people have also become part of the security forces now. And they have been very helpful, a key in fight against insurgency. Because when you have people from the same region, they will know the language of the region. They will know how, right, let's say the topography is arranged. Where are the, right, let's say important places where there can be insurgents hiding, etc. All of this has been a key in fight against Maoism in India. And that's the reason it is the duty of the Ministry of Home Affairs to come into picture and provide a permanent solution, permanent settlement for the tribal movement in India. Done? Okay. Next article. China, India to restart Kailash Manasarovar Yatra. Right? In the context of India-China relations, lot of things are being discussed. Two very important updates here. Two very important updates. One, if you look at the number of visas which are issued by the Chinese government, right, Chinese to Indian tourists, in the year 2023, hardly around 1.8 lakh visas were issued. Hardly around 1.8 lakh issue. 1.8, just a second. 1.8 lakh visas were issued in 2023. But thanks to Mr. Donald Trump, now China is opening up to other countries, including India. So, two very, very important updates here. One, the number of visas which have been issued for Indian citizens traveling to China has suddenly jumped now. It has suddenly increased. How much? Day for yesterday, there was a newspaper article in other newspaper which said China now, from January till April, has issued around 85,000 visas. Is it okay? Around 85,000 visas. Look at this. In 2023, full year, 1.8 lakh visas. In a span of 3 months, now 85,000 visas. So Chinese government is opening up the doors for Indian tourists. They want to have people to people interaction. They want to showcase the culture of China to Indian tourists. So that is one very important development, which is again, when you look at the larger picture, small, right, let's say outcomes like this will make a huge difference over a period of time in order to have friendly relations with China. Because I'm reminded of a statement that was given by Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the former prime minister. In one of the interactions, he said, you can choose your friends, but you cannot choose your neighbor. All of you remember that? You can choose your friends, but you cannot choose your neighbor. So whether you like it or not, China is your neighbor. Now, what is intelligence? Intelligence is ensuring the trade relations or the overall relations with China remains stable and you are not hurt by these kind of relations. That is the overall picture or overall outcome that you should be focused on. So one, 85,000 visas have been issued for Indian citizens. And second one, there is a pilgrimage. There is a pilgrimage that Indians basically undertake. That is a Kailash Manasarovar Yatra. This Kailash Manasarovar Yatra, until 2019, you were allowed to basically pass through, pass through this particular route or go through this particular route and get access to this particular Kailash Manasarovar. But during 2019, the government of China basically said pandemic is there. We will not be able to provide this particular assistance. Sanjana Gupta is saying buffering. Is it the same for others? Please do let me know. It's not buffering, right? Let's go ahead then. Let's go ahead. Thanks a lot. I'm happy that you people are awake. People are not sleeping. Okay. So let me continue now. In 2019, the Chinese government basically said pandemic is there. We will not be able to provide the infrastructure or the support that we generally provide to Indian, right? Let's say pilgrims who go to Kailash like this, Kailash Manasarovar. And after that, there were Galwan clashes, and most of the relations between India and China, right, were stalled. Very recently, there is a revival of the talks between India and Chinese sides, etc. One of the outcomes is now China says we are open to providing support all over again. We are open to providing the support for Indian pilgrims to conduct or undertake Kailash Manasarovar Yatra. Regarding this, the talks are happening between India and China. The final announcement is yet to be done. It will be done in next couple of days. And so this is, right, let's say basically the two updates regarding the relations between India and China. Next article, observation or the order which has been issued by the Supreme Court of India. Regarding what? Regarding language. Regarding, right, language. Until now, people in India were fighting on the basis of color of clothing, color, etc. Now there is a fight regarding language as well. That is essentially, Supreme Court of India says there is a mindset in India. There is a mindset in India that is Urdu belongs to Muslims and right, let's say the other language, Hindi, belongs to Hindus. The one who is talking Hindi is a Hindu and the one who is talking Urdu is a Muslim. This kind of a mindset is there in case of India. Supreme Court of India says no. Please look at the statement given by the Supreme Court justices here. Language is not a religion. Language does not even represent religion. Language belongs to a community, to a region, to people, and not to a religion. Language is culture. Language is the yardstick to measure the civilizational march of a community and its people. Be careful, these kind of statements can be used by UPSC either in the mains examination or even during the interview. So please be very careful. What essentially happened is very simple here. In Maharashtra, in one of the municipality offices, a board was put up. And in the board, along with the office name being written in Marathi, there was also, right, let's say language Urdu used to write. And one of the former member approached judiciary and said, no, Urdu should not be used in the board. It went to Bombay High Court. Then it went to Supreme Court. Now, Supreme Court of India simply says language is not equal to religion. Why do you basically equate, right, language of Urdu with Muslims? The Urdu language has originated in India. I hope you understand. It has originated, right, in India. It is same as Hindu, right? Over a period of time, how Hindu, Hindi, not Hindu, Hindi, how Hindi has progressed and how Urdu has progressed, there might be a difference. Both of them have originated in India only. And in fact, if you see, many of the poets in India have used Urdu to write poems. Even in case of Supreme Court also, many of the terminologies which are used, for example, Wakalnama, right, or Peshki, etc. All of these terminologies come from Urdu only. And in fact, the Supreme Court also reminded the petitioner that if you look at the law which is used in Maharashtra, right, if you look at the Local Authorities Act, the act does not specify that the board should not be written in Urdu. Marathi is there? Yes, let it be there. If Urdu is also written, it could be written because the local population might consist of people who can read Urdu. What is the problem in mentioning Urdu right in the name board? So that is the reason there is a Supreme Court judgment regarding this. Right, please be aware. This you can use right in let's say writing answers in paper 1 as well as paper 2. Okay. Next article, important article. Election Commission of India begins training for booth level agents. A very good initiative, if you ask me. Very good initiative. Why? In recent times, multiple questions have been raised regarding the functioning of Election Commission of India. Whether ECI is right working impartially or partially. There have been multiple concerns raised regarding the voter right list as well. How the names are included, how the names are right excluded, how deletion of right voters happens, etc., etc. Lot of issues, lot of concerns have been raised regarding the functioning of Election Commission of India. Now, Election Commission of India, for the first time ever, I repeat, for the first time ever, has announced that they'll be conducting training. They'll be conducting training for booth level agents, BLA. Now, what is this idea of a booth level agent, BLA? Please understand, the BLAs essentially are the eyes and ears of political parties. I repeat the statement. They are essentially the eyes and ears of the political parties. That is, the booth level agents are appointed by these political parties who will basically ensure, right, let's say from inclusion of voters in the list, they will assist in that. Whether these names are included or they have been deleted, they will have a look at the voter list. They will ensure there is mobilization of voters on the voter day. They will ensure there is a transparency in the booth level. Right? That is, voting is happening appropriately, timings are maintained, there are no duplicate voters, there is no voter fraud, etc. So essentially, these are the BLAs are the eyes and ears of the political parties who will function at the booth level. And what the ECI is saying is, we will provide training for these booth level agents. And this is being done for the first time, right? Again, I'm repeating this. And this is being done in Bihar now. At Bihar, the state assembly elections are supposed to happen. So in Bihar, 280 booth level agents are being trained for 2 days by Election Commission of India regarding how they prepare. What is the process of, right? Let's say voter list preparation. What is the process to be followed to include voters in the list? If there is a deletion of voters, what is the process followed by Election Commission of India, etc., etc. The training is being provided by the Election Commission of India to the booth level agents. So please remember this. This essentially will increase the transparency. This essentially will reduce the instances where the booth level agents through their political parties will make a big issue regarding, let's say, the deletion of voters, addition of voters, or the change in the voter list, etc. Because now they cannot simply say, I do not know what they have done. I do not know why they have removed. What is the process followed, etc. They cannot argue in that particular context. Okay. Next, another article in business page. Bangladesh restricts imports of yarn from India. Please understand, India-Bangladesh relations have not been so good in the last couple of months. Have not been so good. Some of the statements given by the head of Bangladesh administration right now, right, have not been basically acceptable to the government of India. And very recently, government of India said one of the transshipment port through which Bangladesh used to import that particular port, because the congestion is very high. Now we are not going to allow Bangladesh to use that particular. Now, many experts argue that as a retaliatory measure, essentially Bangladesh now has restricted import of yarn from India via land. What do you mean by this? Please understand, you need to make clothes. Clothes are essentially nothing but textiles. Is it okay? Clothes are essentially nothing but textiles. You need to prepare or produce textiles or clothes. And to produce clothes, you require thread. All of you are okay with this? You require thread. That is, you require to prepare, convert cotton into, let's say, a thread. Thread will be used to basically prepare a cloth, manufacture a cloth. For example, right now, as I'm discussing, some of you will be chewing the thread which is there on your shirt or t-shirt or on a, right, let's say, towel, etc. You'll be pulling the thread like this, right, trying to see what will happen in the cloth. So argument is, instead of using the thread, they will use the term yarn. Is it okay? Instead of the term thread, they will use the term yarn. To understand this yarn is produced in India. A lot of it is produced in India, and we export this to Bangladesh. And this exports used to basically pass through land ports. Land ports essentially are checkposts which are situated on land. So land ports which were set up at Benapol, Bomra, right, Somaschid, Bangalabanda, etc. Through these particular the land ports, they used to be imported by Bangladesh. Now, historically, if you see in the last couple of months, it is not the first time that the Bangladesh is trying to reduce import dependence on India. It is not the first time. Couple of months ago, they tried to import potato, aloo. They try to import potatoes from other countries because their import dependence on Indian potatoes is very high. And their argument is, because the prices are very high in case of India, prices are volatile in case of India, I want to essentially, right, reduce the reliance, I want to import from somebody else. Now they want to reduce the import dependence on yarn. Is it okay? They want to reduce the import dependence, right, of yarn. And there is a particular reason here. A lot of you will keep on reading, listening to somebody, and right, simply come to a certain conclusion. Listen to me carefully. Like we produce yarn in India, Bangladesh also produces yarn. Simple. They also produce yarn. But the prices in case of India are much more competitive. Supply is much more better compared to the domestically available yarn. And the argument by many of the sellers in the domestic market of Bangladesh is, because you're importing from India, the domestic producers are getting affected. I can produce yarn in Bangladesh only, I can supply it, but you're importing from India. So the domestic producers of yarn in Bangladesh are affected because of this. So the government of Bangladesh now says, I want to reduce import dependence and essentially I want to procure from the domestic market itself. Although there is no official announcement as to what is the reason behind it, this is essentially the argument that you can understand. Okay, so Bangladesh has stopped importing yarn from India, and India used to export the total amount of yarn to the extent of 1.6 billion to Bangladesh. Done? Right, so these are certain points regarding this article. Please make a note of this. Now, if you ask me, sir, any potential question that can be asked, you can expect a question from this particular area. That is, right, the land ports. UPSC can simply give you the names of it and ask you to identify how many of these are land ports which are used to export and import between India and Bangladesh. So please be very, very careful. Okay, done. Somebody says 1.6 billion tons of rupees. My dear, valued $1.6 billion. Okay. Now, let me go forward. Right, article from Indian Express. Very interesting article, by the way, and relevant, important for civil services. Type 5 diabetes. Type 5 diabetes. You must have heard of type 1 and type 2. Now, there is one more, type 5 diabetes. And this is not the new one, but please understand. But for the first time ever, it has been declared as a separate form of disease. I'll repeat the statement. This has been declared as a separate form of a disease. This is important. Why? The idea of a diabetes, this form of a diabetes was reported for the first time back in 1950s. It was reported for the first time back in 1950s. So it's not a new type of a diabetes as such, but it has been declared as a separate disease now. And that becomes important, that becomes relevant. Now you have a type 1 diabetes. When I say you have, I'm not talking that you have disease. I'm saying variety. So there is a type 1 diabetes, there is a type 2 diabetes, there is a gestational diabetes. Now there is type 5 diabetes as well. But essentially, what is the difference? This is what can be targeted by civil services examination. What is the difference? Type 1, insulin is not produced. Right? Insulin is not produced. Type 2, insulin is produced, but you cannot efficiently use it. And type 5, insulin is produced, but very, very less. Is it okay? Everybody is okay? Right? And Pradeep SP is saying under 18 type 1, or somebody else says also called a J type. Yes, initially it was called as a J type. It has been renamed over a period of time. Today we are using the term type 5 diabetes. Okay. So argument is very simple here. In the type 1, essentially insulin is not produced. In type 2, insulin is produced, but there is a resistance. There is resistance. And in case of type 5, insulin is produced, but very, very less. And that's a reason, please understand, the most prevalent form of diabetes right now is a type 2, which is generally the outcome of obesity. When people are very obese, they consume lot of these junk foods, right? Sugar is present, but the insulin produced cannot use this particular sugar, cannot transfer it to cells, etc. And that's the reason weakness will happen. Sugar levels in the blood will be very, very high. But what is this type 5 diabetes? It has been found in this particular people who are, right, generally the youth population, and they are malnourished. Remember this. These are malnourished. Remember the differences here. This can be asked. Right, type 2 generally in the obese people, in the, right, let's say people who are elders, right, the above youth population as such. But in case of type 5, this is found in malnourished youth, right, young generation, malnourished. Argument is they do not consume sufficient amount of food. They are not able to get access to sufficient amount of food. And that's the reason, one more very important characteristic you should remember is, if you talk about the whole globe, generally you will divide the whole globe into global south and global north. Correct? All of you heard of this? Global south and global north. Majority of the people who are experiencing or who are having type 5 diabetes have been found in the global south. Is it okay? They have been found in the global south, because if you look at the countries or the continents which are present in the global south, a lot of them will have very high population, a lot of them will have very high poverty numbers, etc. And that is essentially the concept here. Now, what are the, right, let's say, features? What are the symptoms of type 5 diabetes? Right, these are the, right, let's say, symptoms. You can have a look at it. But what is the importance of this? The importance is, because there was no official recognition. Until now, there was no official recognition of a type 5 diabetes. a lot of time, a person who will have type 5 diabetes was misdiagnosed. A lot of time, they were misdiagnosed. And there was a misdiagnosis, and treatment was not correct. And in fact, the researchers say people who had type 5 diabetes were not able to survive 1 year from the date of, right, let's say, from the date of, let's say, recognizing that they have a diabetes. So the survival rates were very, very less compared to, let's say, type 2 diabetes, where there can be prolonging of the life because of the treatment that you get. So argument is, first, for the first time, we have given it as a separate recognition that it is a separate disease. Now going forward, a treatment will also be provided. A separate procedure will also be recommended for treating type 5 diabetes. Done? Right. So these are certain important points. Now associated with this, one MCQ. Consider the following statements regarding type 2 and type 5 diabetes. In both cases, the underlying cause is the obesity. In both cases, the insulin production does not happen. How many of these two statements are true? Only one, only two, both of them? Do let me know in the chat section. Otherwise, don't worry, I'll give you the answer in some time. One more very important article related to ecology and environment. Odisha to Maharashtra via Lanka. 4,500 kilometer journey of a turtle 03 233 or O3 233. What is the importance of this article? Please listen to me carefully. All of you heard of olive ridley turtles? Olive ridley turtles, right? Generally, you will have heard of this in the context of coast of Odisha. That is on the eastern coast. Every year, these olive ridley turtles will come to the coast and basically nest, lay eggs and nest in this particular eastern coast. But another very important point here, these are not just found in the eastern coast, these are found in along the western coast as well. For example, in Maharashtra, along the western coast, these olive ridley turtles will also come there. But in terms of numbers, the numbers in case of eastern coast is much, much higher compared to the numbers in the western coast. But more important point here is, until now, it was assumed that, until now, it was assumed that these olive ridley turtles, if they go to eastern coast, lay eggs, that is, the nesting is done, they will go to the sea, again they would return to eastern coast only. Is it okay? Again, they would return to eastern coast only. But for the first time, this is the importance. For the first time, there is a ridley turtle, O3 233. I'll come to the number in some time, don't worry, which was tagged means numbered in the eastern coast, right? Back in 21 to 2023. Now, it has migrated from the eastern coast to the western coast. It has found nesting in the Maharashtra. That is along the coastline of Maharashtra. Is everybody able to understand this? This is the importance. For the first time ever, this has been notified. That is a olive ridley turtle, which has nested in the eastern coast, now has gone to the western coast for nesting purposes. Right? What is the importance of this? And some of you might be thinking, sir, why are they numbering this? Listen to me carefully. There is a process which has been followed, that is a tagging process. Right? The Zoological Survey of India, ZSI, ZSI or GSI for some of you. So, Zoological Survey of India in the year 21 to 23 has conducted an exercise. This is called as flipping or flipper tag. Flipper tag. And those who are wondering, sir, what do you mean by flipper tag? Can everybody see a turtle's photo on my left hand, I'm sorry, right hand side here? Please do let me know. Somebody will say, no, sir, lower your hand like this. You will be able to see it here, right side. So, what's that particular picture? Along with the flippers, flippers are essentially the limbs like this. Along the flippers, you can see there is, right, something that is pinched here, something that has been put. These are flipper tags. Is it okay? These are flipper tags. These are made of titanium or other metal alloys. These are, right, basically clipped on these, right, let's say the limbs here. And these will also have numbers. Right? The identification number will be there. So Zoological Survey of India has conducted this concept of a flipper tag along multiple coastlines, but this particular olive ridley turtle was tagged in Odisha coastline. It was tagged along the Odisha coastline. Now the same turtle with this particular tag O3 233 has been found nesting along the let's say the Maharashtrian coast. So experts are basically saying this has been recorded for the first time ever, which means this particular turtle has basically swam all the way, has moved all the way from this side of Odisha, taken a route, right? Maybe it has crossed even Sri Lanka like this and has gone to let's say Ratnagiri district in Maharashtra to nest there, which also means there are implications regarding conservation. There are implication regarding conservation. That is, right now we have lot of conservation activities which are being conducted along the Odisha coastline. We have to improve the conservation along Mumbai coastline as well, because a lot of time overfishing, illegal fishing activities might hurt the nesting activities of these olive reed. Done. So this particular turtle O3 233 has become very famous now because of this news. Now, associated with this, MCQ number 96, consider the following statements. Flipper tagging of olive ridleys is being conducted by Zoological Survey of India. Many of you will say, yes, sir, you only have told some time ago. Yes, this has been done on turtles found only along the Odisha coastline. Zoological Survey of India is headquartered in New Delhi. How many of the statements are true? Obviously, I've told you one is true, right? But two and three, how many of them are true? Do let me know in the chat section. Otherwise, wait for a couple of more minutes. I'll give you the answer. Now, right, last two articles, just factual information. Just factual information. One, there is a website which has been set up for Sanskrit literature. Sanskrit literature. This website has been set up by an IIT, right, pass out, that is Mr. Antriksh Botale, coming from the state of Rajasthan. He has set up sanskritasahitya.org. Remember the name, can be asked in the prelims examination. sanskritasahitya.org. This is a website which has been set up by the IIT alumnus. Now, what is the importance of this? He says this website will basically become one point solution for many of the people who want to learn Sanskrit literature. Right now, many of these literature arts, literature, let's say works such as Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, etc. These are already uploaded. If you want to conduct a research, right, you will have access to the GitHub files as well. If you want to simply read, these are arranged. Again, Sanskrit work, it has been arranged according to the poems, according to, let's say, chapters, etc. You can use this if you're interested in Sanskrit literature. So this is one just factual information. Please make a note of this. Can be asked in the prelims. Another one is Telangana's tallest stone sculpture of Mahavira. Right? Please make a note of this. At Telangana's tallest stone sculpture of Tirthankara Vardhaman Mahavira. Right? Generally, in case of art and culture paper, lot of times, right? Let's say the paintings, right? Let's say the stonework, etc., are asked by civil service examination. Make a note of this. This is the tallest stone sculpture which is present in Telangana. Right? Point number one. Point number two. Somebody will ask me, sir, what is the height of this? Over 9 feet. It is over 9 feet. But much more importantly, the concern that has been raised is there is a lot of quarrying activity that is happening in the region. Right? Lot of activity is happening in this particular region, quarrying activity. And when quarrying is conducted, lot of drilling will also happen. And when drilling will happen, right, earth obviously will shake like this. As a result of this, this stone sculpture, which is an erect stone sculpture, it is sinking into the ground. It is essentially sinking into the ground. If you can see, already it has sunk right below the knee level. It has already sunk into the earth. That is one concern that has been raised. Second point is make a note of this particular posture name. The article simply says the sculpture that is of Mahavira, it is in Kayotsarga posture. Kayotsarga that is a still posture. If you generally observe, right, let's say posture of Mahavira, generally you will see he's standing upright like this, with the hands very close to the body, standing upright. That posture is called as Kayotsarga posture. Make a note of this. And apart from this, there is also a term called as Ushnisha. What is the Ushnisha? It is a type of, right, let's say carving. How the head is carved, that particular work is called as a Ushnisha, which is a cranial protrusion. That is how the head is carved. You will see a type of protrusion is done, that is called as Ushnisha. And finally, the article simply says this belongs to the 9th century CE, that is right associated with Rashtrakuta time period. So these are certain four very important points that have been given in this article related to a stone sculpture that has been found in Telangana or which is present in Telangana. Okay. So these are the various important articles I wanted to discuss with you people. Now, let me give you the key answer. MCQ number 95. That is a type 2 and type 5. In both cases, underlying cause is obesity. No. In case of type 2, it is obesity. In type 5, it is malnourishment. So first one, incorrect. In both cases, insulin production does not happen. In type 2, it happens, but there is a resistance. In type 5, it happens, but very, very less. So incorrect. Right option is option D. None of them are correct. MCQ 96. Flipper tagging of olive ridleys is being conducted by Zoological Survey of India. Yes. A lot of you answered to my first MCQ. Right? Many of you did not answer to MCQ 96. Why? Reason was the point number 2 and 3. Neither given an article nor did you discuss. How can I answer? So be ready for these kind of questions in the UPSC also. So this has been done on the turtles found only along the Odisha coastline. No, this is incorrect. ZSI, that is Zoological Survey of India, is headquartered in New Delhi. No, this is headquartered in Kolkata. It is right headquartered in Kolkata. Right. So second one is incorrect. Third one is incorrect. Right option for this MCQ is A. Only one of the statement is true. Okay. So those who want to download the PPT that I've used in this particular session, you can join my Telegram channel. It will be available here. And those who are wondering, sir, right, what about the questions in the comment section, etc. My dear, like I told you yesterday, just give me some time, either tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I'll schedule a special class on the platform, the link for which will be provided in the Telegram channel. It will be a doubt resolution session. Right. So I'll share the link, join. Any doubts that you have related to Indian economy, I will address your doubts. Okay. So if you have any questions regarding what I've discussed in this particular session, please do let me know. I'm looking at the chat section, by the way. Okay, economics optional paper which is considered to be a technical nature. Is it paper one? Yes, my dear. Paper one is very, very technical. Okay, right? Very, very technical paper. If you're not from economics background, be very careful in choosing economics as an optional because paper one is very technical in nature. Okay, Nagendra Gullipalli. Post premium articles on the group. My dear, if I post premium articles, one of you will basically report me to Telegram and they'll basically cancel my Telegram channel. Right? But again, just join. I'll tell you how can you get the access to important articles. Okay. Next, the treatment is there treatment for type 5 diabetics right now? Please understand. The experts are basically saying there is a working group which has been established. Okay, working group which has been established. They are conducting the studies. They will come out with what will be the treatment process that will be followed for type 5 diabetes. Until now, even if you have type 5, a lot of times they have been diagnosed as a type 2. Insulin has been used to treat it. In many cases, they have basically experienced mild reactions because of the insulin, and many people have died because of it. Any other question? A lot of times people say, right, faculty doesn't answer the question. Now I am asking, please ask me questions. Nobody is willing to ask. Exactly opposite now. Any questions you people have, please do let me know. Sir, will Bangladesh trying to impose a tariffs on India's goods such as yarn and other? My dear, they have not proposed any kind of any kind of, let's say, decision as of now regarding tariff. But simply they're saying through the land, the import of tariff from India will be cut now. Okay. Monu Chaudhary, right? कहाँ गए थे sir आप? Monu Chaudhary. Uh, sir, how much time the turtle took? My dear, there is no answer to that. I'll tell you the reason. Some of the experts are saying the turtle has basically crossed, right? Let's say Sri Lanka like this to reach the other part of India. Some experts are saying no, 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 no. It may not be possible that it has taken a longer road. It could have simply crossed through the narrow channels like this between India and Sri Lanka. There is no definite answer to either one of them. Reason being, there is no satellite tracking which has been done. I hope you understand. There is no satellite tracking which has been done. These are simple tags. It's like basically your car has a nameplate. As long as there is no GPS connection to car, you will not know what route you have taken. Right? The flip tagging is essentially a number plate. That's it. Beyond that, you cannot come to know what route the turtle has taken or how much time it has taken. Where did it stop? Did it stop to Sri Lanka, right, and took a bypass like this, or it went to Rameshwaram and came to India? No, there is no way to find it out. Okay. But sir, a tag date could be noted. My dear, please understand, date could be noted. But are you sure it has started from this particular point without any stop? It has reached the other coastline. I hope you understand that also. What if it will stop in between? Let's say it will look at the people in Rameshwaram, how nice these people are, etc. It will go to Lanka then, right? Then look at the people in Sri Lanka. Indian tourists are there in Sri Lanka also, eating pan and splitting there or spitting there also, etc. Bolo Zuban Kesari, etc. So argument is no way you can find out exactly how much time it has taken. Okay. Sir, should we tell Chetan sir about his tour of America? No, don't tell him. Okay. I'll tell him, don't worry. Any other question? Any other question? Any other doubt, etc.? Done then. So that's it from my side. Take care. Right. So if you want the PPT, as mentioned already, it will be available in this particular Telegram in the right. Let's say next 10 to 15 minutes. That's it from my side. If you like this initiative, do hit the like button. If you are yet to subscribe to our channel, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day. See you next time.